Hey everybody, welcome back. Just going to do a quick recap after our day 6 stream of creating our wonderful trading bot, Trade Me Up. If you like these videos or you want to follow along, please do subscribe. Also, all the code that I am showing you here, I am uploading to GitHub. The link will be in the description. You can clone it and follow along at any time you want. So just jumping into it, what we had to do today was creating our indicators. So these indicators are going to be used in our state data for the strategies that we implement. So for instance, an indicator would be a moving average or rate of change percent. And we need those to be able to act on current price action versus history of the stock ticker that we're tracking so we can make appropriate judgment calls. So if the stock is going up over X amount of days and it looks like it's a good buy, hey, we want to buy it. If it's tanking and we want to get out, we definitely want to know that it's going down based off its history and be able to sell it then. We don't want to sit in the stock forever. The whole point of this is to be able to implement a strategy so that we can get in on the lows, ride it up into a high, and then get out when it's coming back down. And the whole point is that so you can maximize your profits, obviously. So what we did here is created a class called base indicator. And in that indicator, we also created another object called fixed size queue. So this is just a queue that allows you to enqueue an item. And then once it is full, based off of the queue size that you specify, the fixed size, it will dequeue the last item. So basically, queues work off of a first in, and then I believe it is going to be first out, right? So the first item that's in the queue will also be the first one that's dequeued, right? So I think they go first in, first out is the way they describe the queue. So think of it as building a line or a queue, and the first person in line, well, they'll be removed from the line first because they're going to be helped first. So first come, first serve, if you think of it that way. Also on our base indicator, we have the symbol, of course. We need to know where we're actually going to select these data points from. A period. So this period is going to be a period of time based off of the unit. So there's going to be, so if we're using day and the aggregation period day of 1, so every day we want to be able to have a period of 20 days. So there's a indicator that is, fairly well known as like the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. So those are pretty well used. We might use some of those or a combination of those. But for instance, on the 50-day moving average, it will have a period of 50, and the aggregation period will be 1 day, right? So every 1 day we will select a data point that we want to track, and the indicator is made up of a date and time and the data point field. So the fields represent open, high, low, close, or volume. So we can track all of these data points on a specific period over time. And the moving average would be all of those added up divided by the period, right? So it's just an average and it moves over a period of time. So with the period, we have the aggregation period. So again, I just mentioned that. The only one we're going to support right now, there's aggregation period unit, is day. So we're only going to be supporting day for now. We can add the others later. And then the value is going to be whatever the user specifies as the value when creating the indicator itself. Since we're creating the indicators now, we will probably just hard code that to 1. And we'll probably have some helper functions so we can just easily say, new SMA or simple moving average, and then it'll give us an indicator for the daily moving average. The field, as I mentioned before, are just data points that we want to be tracking over a period. So these are open, high, low, close, volume, and we get those from the I aggregate that is returned from the Polygon streaming client, or I'm sorry, Polygon data client. So they have I aggregate base, and you can see on here that open, high, low, close volume in that window. So based off of that, we keep going. So the value will be abstracted. So Our base class as well, you have to implement, so you can't actually create an instance of base indicator. You have to inherit and then create an instance of your indicator itself, in which we also want to provide the value in the instantiated or inherited class. So that way, you can have a different type of indicator. One will be for a moving average, one will be for rate of change, one will be for RSI. All of that will be returned by this value field, and it has to be implemented again by the one that is inheriting the base indicator. We also have a is ready, so just a quick boolean, whether the queue size equals the queue count. That will tell us that we are full up on our window. You can think of it as a sliding window. So as long as the queue is full up and the window is shifting, then we have basically it is ready. And we may even want to add on to there that the last value is within 1 day, right? So the last value in the queue, or the last one in the line, is within 1 day range of now, because we don't want to be too far outside of bounds. So if you have 100 indicators in there and you're 50 days back, well, it's not really relevant to current time frame. So that may be something we want to check. We're just checking it, the size and the count now. We have our constructor here. We just assign all of our values. We're checking that we only implement day at the moment currently, because that's the only thing we're going to support right now. And then the period must be greater than 1, obviously. You have to have a window or a size of some point more than 1. We started to implement our update method. So this update method will start, this first should not be there, I'll remove that. So what this is going to do is reach out to Polygon servers and request a list of data points based on the period that we specify. So we have an aggregate request that we do, and then we have to specify a from. So this was a little challenging. We had to implement store the values for a trading calendar and then subtract trading days from the current trading day, right? And then go X amount of days backwards in time, so that we get a starting point that is accurate to the period of trading days that we're trying to allocate for. I know it's confusing, was a little challenging to wrap my head around as well, but this is what we came up with, an extension method where you can call subtract trading days from a read-only list of iCalendars, which is returned from Alpaca Trading Client. You can request the calendar list from them, so it gives you all the calendars, the open close for the trading dates, and all that good stuff. We specify the number of days that we want to subtract and the starting period, so that's nullable if you don't specify the start. Well, we're just going to say we're going to start now. So our current starting point is always going to be defaulting to our current day. So what we ended up doing was sorting all the calendars in the list, descending by the trading date UTC. So it's going to sort all of the trading days descending, right? So the furthest one out at the top, and then the furthest one back at the bottom. Then we're going to, from that sorted list, select our starting trading calendar. So our starting trading calendar is going to be where the trading date UTC matches the date that is in the start. And we're going to select that. And then as long as that is not null, we're going to get the index in our sorted calendars of that item, right? So we have the index now. So in our list, say there's 10. Well, say today is number 5. We're going to get that index number 5. And then we just make sure that we're greater than -1. So if it can't find the index of this object, it returns a -1, or it's also set to -1 here. So if we're greater than -1, that means we have a correct index. Then we want to make sure that we can do the index of start plus the days, so our period plus 1. So we don't want the current day, which is the one that we selected. We want at least 1 back, which is the +1, and then we want to add those days back as well. So you can think of it as we're starting at 0. We want, our calendar is from 0 to like 100. Our current day is 5, and we want to go, 10 days back. So we want to go 10 days back starting at the first number after the index, right? So we add 1 and then go 10 days back. And I don't know if we want to add 1 actually. We could probably just do plus 10 days, right? Because it's not inclusive at that point. I'll have to double check that. We're going to implement a testing project just to make sure we get the correct days. But even if we get 1 extra day, I think that's okay, because if we have 1 extra day and we send that through our fixed size queue, well, we're only going to get the number of days that we want anyway. So I think that's fine. So as long as these are inbounds and we have a index, we're just going to select the date time from the sorted calendars based off of where we want to select the position from, and then we will return the trading date, UTC time. And that should give us the starting from date. And then there's a helper method that they added for the aggregate request where you can say from and to. So we're setting a time interval from and then to. And then we go ahead and just request the history items, and then we add those items to the queue. Like I said, these are returned in order descending as well. So if the queue gets full up because we have 1 extra day, well, it's not a big deal. It's just going to drop the the first one that was added there, and it's not relevant anyways. So is that right? No, I'm sorry. It's sorting ascending, I believe. We'll have to check that. We may have to sort the history items based off of the ascending values. So that was all that we accomplished today. That was actually pretty big. So off of this, where we can go tomorrow is actually creating specific indicators. We'll need, initially I said, a moving average, so a simple moving average, and then also a rate of change percent. Those should be pretty easy to get initialized and created. And then from there, we will probably break off and start going back into the state data that we need for the strategies themselves. So the state data will be using these indicators for the symbols that we subscribe to. And yeah, that should be it. I appreciate everyone watching. If you do have any questions, comments, feedback, please do leave a comment in the comment section below. Again, I'll be uploading this to GitHub. And if you want to catch me the next time I go live, please do subscribe. Thanks for watching.